Welcome, guys, to the fourth episode of Estheticians in Business, the podcast. And I'm honestly just so excited you're here. I'm so excited I'm here. You guys don't know it, but I'm actually late to this podcast. And you could be like, Allison, how are you late to your own podcast? Well, I tried to get started at late too, but my toddler had other plans. She decided that she was absolutely not going to sleep, that her nap time was null, not going to happen. And I was like, Kaka. We call her Kaka because, she used to poop a lot when she was a baby. Anyway, side note. But it was like, Kaka, please go to sleep. Go night-night. And she's like, night-night. And I'm like, night-night. And so she finally went night-night. And so here she is sleeping. So I have a little bit to do this podcast. So as you guys know, I am a stay-at-home mom, but I'm also an esthetician business coach. I've been able to do that for a while now, and it has been such a blessing. Adding in this podcast has just been so much more fun. But I have to tell you, like, creating a podcast and having time to actually record it can become a lot. I feel like this is such a fun way for you guys to learn a little bit more of like who I am and like my personality, because sometimes just like showing up on Instagram like that is like so vulnerable. And I was actually having a conversation with a student the other day, and she was like, I just don't understand how people can be so vulnerable like that and put their whole life out there. And I'm like, yeah, it takes a lot. And honestly, I wouldn't have more of a problem sharing more, but it's just the time it takes to share more. It's the time that takes where I have to be looking at my phone versus looking at my family. And so it can definitely be hard, but I'm doing my best to really, because I know you guys have told me that you want to know more about me. So I'm super excited to be able to provide that for you. So one of the questions I've been getting recently about, like during my coaching calls from my students, has been about Instagram. And I think Instagram is such a thing that people want to grow on and build their business on, that it's like we want to be good at it, right? So we want to be on it. And so many people have questions about it. And one of the questions obviously I get is, how do I grow on Instagram? Because it can be so frustrating that when you are constantly posting, you're constantly doing things, and you're like, but why am I not growing? Like, why? I remember I used to be so excited every single time I got a follower, and I do still get very excited every time I get a follower. But I used to be like overwhelmingly excited that I get a follower, and then I would lose two and it would destroy me. And so I first want to tell you that it's totally normal to feel this way, but I also want to share with you some of the things that I've learned over the past year. So May 31st of 2024, I made a goal that I was going to post a reel every single day for an entire year. That was my goal. I was going to post it and I was going to see what happened. And so my goal was to get to 5,000 followers. I had nearly 0, and I actually reached like 6,000, over 6,000 from May. Oh my gosh, if you can hear my chair, from May till January, I had about 6,000. Now I have close to 7,500, which is absolutely incredible. And I don't care who you are. If you had told me a year ago that I was gonna have 7,500 followers, I would have told you were a liar. I know we can sometimes look at other people and other Instagrams and be like, why do I not have 30,000 followers? She's so good. She does this, and this. Why don't I have that? Like, how does she have millions and millions of followers and I have 700? Or I have 300, or I have 200, or I don't have any. And there's a few things I want you to remember, and then I'm gonna actually get into 6 different ways that you can put together that you can actually help grow your Instagram. Okay, we're gonna walk through that. But the thing you have to remember is, 1, these people have probably been growing their Instagrams or their social media for a long time. 2, they've probably put a lot of work into it, whether they're on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube and all these things, and it's probably a big part of their job. So it's not like, you like, think about it in the sense of, you have probably done other jobs before you became a solo esthetician, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm a solo esthetician, I'm gonna make an Instagram. Okay, those people have been influencers or been on TikTok and Instagram for years now. So it's like totally different because it's been their job for a bunch of years. So there's a whole lot more work into it than just like, oh, they showed up. Okay. And so I just want you to remember that. All right. And so really when we get into Instagram growth, the first thing I want to premise is, I want you to, if you can, if you're willing, If you are somebody who compares themselves to other estheticians, if you're somebody who feels overwhelmed because you're following estheticians that are like doing really well on their Instagram and getting a lot of feedback and booking a lot of clients from there, I want you to unfollow them, delete them. Do not be part of what they're presenting on Instagram, because you're going to compare yourself, which means that you're not going to have the creativity you would have if you created it yourself. You're also just going to compare yourself, which takes joy out of it. Instagram can be fun. It can be exciting. It can be a place where you can grow a community of people that love you and that trust you. But you have to be willing to get rid of the things around you that are pulling you down. And a lot of times those are the people that are doing better than you. And are in quote unquote doing better. But I also want you to remember, like, who is their clientele? Do they have a ton of estheticians that are following them? Or do they have a lot of people in their area that are following them? Okay. And so try not to compare yourself to other people. But all right, so first let's get into it. We're going to talk about these 6 ways. And our number 1 is going to be figure out who your client is. And you could look at me in the face and be like, Allison, I hate this question. And dude, I do too. I hate being like, identify your avatar, create your unicorn, or whatever. But it's true. How do you market to somebody if you don't know who they are? That was something that I really struggled with. When I did my first launch of one of my courses, it flopped, right? I have a great course and I was like, oh my gosh, why? What's happening? So I had a coaching call with somebody who's like an expert in this. And they're like, well, you're not talking to anybody. Who's your client? And I was like, And so I reformatted and I talked to the person that I actually wanted to attract. And it was great. Everything sold like hotcakes. And I'm like, this is wonderful. I love this, right? And so it's because I was talking directly to the client that I needed to talk to. And so there's a few ways you can kind of figure that out. And my favorite way is to think about the person you actually want to work with. Don't think about the person you think you have to work with, but the person that you want to work with. What services do you want to perform? So if you were to ask newbie solo esthetician Allison, she was going to perform every service. I was a waxer, an acne specialist, hyperpigmentation. I was doing it all. Relaxation. I could do a pedicure, whatever, right? But then I realized after waxing a coochie or 6, I hated it. You also don't want me waxing. I'm really bad. So sorry to those clients. That's my bad. Thank you for paying me and supporting me. I was terrible. And I realized that I also hated acne stuff. I hated it. I wanted to pop your zits. I did. I wanted to extract things, but I did not want to treat you. I did not like it. And so, but then I realized I loved treating hyperpigmentation. I loved relaxation. I loved correction of dark spots and larger pores and anti-aging. And I loved that stuff, loved it. So I tailored who I marketed and how I marketed to that person. All right. So who are those people who have those issues that I was wanting to do? Who are those people? I realized that the people I enjoyed working with were millennials and Generation X. So I'm a millennial myself and I loved working with those people. Those people had the issues or the concerns that I wanted to treat. That was great. Now that I knew that, I could then be like, where do millennials, you guys stay with me. Where do millennials hang out? Where are they? They're on Facebook groups, Instagram, TikTok. We're kind of in the technology, but we're also in networking events. We're also, communicating at BNIs or Chamber of Commerce. We're great with referrals. Generation X loves referrals. They love, they have to be referred a few times before they actually trust a brand. And so I knew I had to get in that referral system. I knew I had to do that. And so that made it much easier for me. I also could, based off statistics, could see what they valued. Do they value loyalty? Do they value one-offs? Do they value organic natural products? Do they do they value certain treatments? I could really decipher that because I knew who my client was. And this pertains to growing on Instagram because I get asked that question all the time. How do I grow on Instagram? And I always say you have to figure out who your client is, who you're talking to. Because if you are talking to everyone, you're talking to absolutely no one. It's just how it works. So you're talking to absolutely no one if you're talking to everyone. And so when you are thinking about who your ideal client is, I really want you to focus on the person you want to treat, and then I want you to think about their concerns. What are their issues? What are the things that they say? If there was a little camera that was on them that was hidden and they're talking about their insecurities, what are they saying? What are they crying about? What are they celebrating? What are those things they're excited to see? Do they want their makeup to lay better? Do they want to have, a hairless whatever? Do they want, it's summer coming up, do they want glowing skin and no like ingrown hairs? Like, what does that look like? So you have to kind of figure out what that is for your individual client. And then what you can do is write all those issues they have down. And I want you to then focus on making content around that, okay? But now we're actually gonna get into optimizing your bio to reflect that. And honestly, when people used to be like, optimize your bio on Instagram, I would be like, what? And so I'm sharing this with you because I've actually done a lot of training in Instagram. So Instagram courses, also an Instagram membership where I basically learn constantly about Instagram and its constant growth, okay? And so we're going to talk about that. And so your nameplate, okay? So your nameplate is the thing where you actually get to like it's searchable. So it's the thing that tells people who you are, what you do. So if you go on mine, it says Allison Steinberg, esthetician coach, meaning if someone typed in, you could try it, search esthetician coach, I will come up. Okay. Now this is not necessarily like your username, which could also be searchable, but it's your nameplate. It's a thing that's directly under it, kind of next to your profile picture. All right. So you want to think about those. And I'm actually looking at my Instagram profile right now. And so funny, I've actually lost 2 followers sitting here. So just so you know, the ups and downs of followers are totally normal. And sometimes you lose a ton more than you actually gain, but that's a side note. It happens. It's just part of the game. So anyways, so my nameplate is Allison Steinberg, esthetician coach. People can search that. So yours, I would recommend it be something that reflects where you're located, but also what you do that people will say. So you're not going to type in like hyperpigmentation specialist, but maybe you'll type in like acne, you'll put like your name and then acne facials, or you'll put like the name of your spa, Orlando, Florida, or you'll do something that people are going to utilize. Think about it almost as like a search engine. Like, what are people searching? They'll be searching like facials near me, but you could be like facials, Orlando, Florida. Does that make sense? So there's that. Then I want to talk about actually your profile photo. So your profile picture is very important, that it's not like a group of people. Okay. We don't want that. We want people to look at it and see your face, to be excited, for you to be smiling, for it to really show as much as your waist up as you can, and for it also be consistent across platforms. So you want to make sure that your profile picture is the same across Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all things, look the same across the board. So when people see it, they're like, this is who this is. Okay. Definitely 10 out of 10 recommend you guys do that. Okay. And the reason I also don't recommend a logo is just because it's so impersonal. Personable? You guys get what I'm saying. Because when someone's looking at it, they're like, oh, it's not really a person, it's like a company. Now, if you have to have the logo, just make sure that logo is created to fit in that circle. You want to make sure it's actually made for that circle and it's not just like a picture that you made smaller, because you want the quality to still be good. It needs to be clear, it needs to be nice, it needs to be something that people are excited to see, okay? Then your next thing, kind of still over but under your nameplate, is like your posts, your followers, and your following. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is actually line 1 through 4. So you have 4 lines that you can use, 4 lines underneath like your profile picture area. And this is the place where it's going to tell people what you do, why you're qualified, and like give them a place where they can book an appointment, go to a link, you can get a freebie, something. Okay. And this can be changing all the time. All right. So let's talk about your first line. So the first line is, the question that you need to answer is, what can you do for us? This is your niche statement. This is the thing that's going to say like what you do for your clients. Like, who are you treating? Like, if I were to go to your page and I'm looking for an acne specialist, if I'm looking for somebody to clear my skin, would you be somebody that I would be able to be like, she could help me and she's in my area, right? You want to make sure that it is something that is so clear that your ideal client will go on there and be like, she's exactly who I want to be. So I teach estheticians how to become 6-figure like estheticians, right? Well, I switched it up a little bit to see what my growth would look like. And I put something about being fully booked with less stress. And I found there's been a downness of the amount of estheticians that have followed me. And I think it has to correlate with that because I've changed who I'm talking to. And so I need you to remember that, like, you can play around to see like what's going to work best for the people that you want to follow you. So you just want to make sure it's clear enough to people understand. And you can always start with this simple statement of like, I help X get, perform, achieve this. Okay. So you just want to make sure you're kind of using that, and it's going to help you a lot. You don't necessarily have to say like I help, but you'll understand like kind of the gist. You always should check out my profile. It's Estheticians in Business on Instagram. Check that out and you can kind of see what I'm talking about and how I set it up. Now, this next one is kind of your second and third line. This is where you have a little bit of wiggle room. This is where you're going to talk about your credibility, your background, your qualification, personal experiences. If you need to put more clarification for the statement above, like whatever it is, you need to be able to put that in there. Okay. And so for you, it could be like, this is where you would put like acne specialist certified, or this where you put like, because people don't really know what faciality is, right? So you probably want to put something that's more generic, people actually understand. But maybe there's a certain skincare brand that's like really popular in your area and you carry it and you want people to know. Or maybe you're a laser specialist, or you've been in the industry for 25 years, or whatever it is. You're a 5-star, been rated the best spa in Texas. I don't know. This is where you would put what you do and like your credibility of why people should trust you. And this is a very important, because people need to know like, okay, why would I want to follow this person or potentially book with them? Okay, so your next one, well, first off, the second and third line are probably the least important areas, but you still want to have them in there. All right, your last one is going to be your call to action. And so what I love to actually do with my third line is to have something that has like an arrow pointing down at the link to tell people what to do with that call to action. So that call to action is that fourth one. This is where I would recommend you put a booking link, you put a link tree or a stand store that links to a place that really only has like 1 or 2 options for people. Unless you're just like not in a place you have like specific things, you want to make it as simple as possible. Okay. So for instance, when I am in full launch and I'm launching my courses and I'm wanting estheticians to view like my sales page, I will link directly to that. Or if I want you to get on my wait list, I'll link directly to that so that people can just go through the wait list, right? But when I'm not in that time frame, like right now, I have a link tree where I just give you all my free stuff, right? All my free stuff where you can get free resources from me all the time. You can check out my 201 plus hooks. You can do all that stuff in there. But for estheticians, I always recommend that you link it, if possible, specifically to the one particular facial service, whatever it is that you want them to purchase, that you want them to book. Like if you're if you're new client, book here, right? You could even have it go to like a link tree or like stand store and have like 2 buttons. New client here, returning client here, and have them just go to one of those two options. And so they know, okay, I'm a new client, I'm gonna click here, I'm gonna book with her. And then she can go directly to that page of where she needs to book. That's what's so important, so that people can actually be like, oh, this is what I do. Because honestly, the most annoying thing about wanting to book an appointment is a few things. One is, if literally, not even joking, so in my area, I was looking for an esthetician. I cannot find an esthetician anywhere near me on Instagram. Nowhere. Because I was like, I want to see if they follow me, right? Nowhere. Because no one in my area, it has put like who they are as far as like my city, right? And so making sure you have the city. 2, making sure you have your first name in there at least. I can't even tell you how many times I've reached out to estheticians and I have no idea what their first names are. Someone's messaged me and I can't even respond with their first name because I don't know it. So I always say, make sure you have your first name in there somewhere, okay? And then 3, a place where they can book. That extra step where someone has to then message you or DM you to then go to your booking site is so annoying and totally get people to not do it. So make sure that you're making it super simple and super easy for people to actually entertain you, right? To be part of your business, to book with you, whatever it is. All right, so optimizing your bio is super, super important. And you may ask, should I be verified? Should I not be verified? For someone who has personally been hacked and lost their total Instagram, I say yes, be verified. If you're able to pay, I think it's like $14.99 a month. If you're able to pay it, I would highly recommend it. If it's not in your budget, then figure out ways to kind of like make sure you're optimizing everything so that your security is top notch. Change your password frequently. I personally just don't want to risk that again. And I want help if something happens to my Instagram. That's why I choose to be verified. I also, if you want your customers to think that you are super serious about your Instagram, I feel like it's a little bit more important at that point, if that's important to your clients. If it's not, then don't worry about it, okay? All right, so that's number 1 and number 2. So we're gonna move to number 3, create content around the things that we've already talked about. And so whomever your client is, kind of what I talked about, like figure out who your client is, but whomever that is, I want you to create content around them and what they want. When I see so many times that estheticians will make content that attracts other estheticians. No, stop. Your ideal client's not estheticians. It's not. So stop doing that, okay? So how do you figure out what content to create? This is a fun one because there's lots of ways. 1, you can come up with your own brain. What questions do you have? 2, what questions did you have before becoming an esthetician? When you were looking at skincare, when you were looking at a waxer, when you were looking at getting your lashes done, what questions did you ask? And I'm talking remedial team, like go low, okay? Because a lot of people don't know how to do the basic things to us is big to them. So you have to realize that creating content around things that they don't know is very important. Okay, how do you figure that out? 1, you can write it down because you thought about it. 2, when your clients ask a question, write it down. So say your client's like, how should I apply this mask? That's a perfect reel. How do I wash my face? How do I apply this serum? How do I exfoliate anywhere? That's a wonderful reel. Okay. So many ways that you can show that you're an expert by showing just the simplest of things. All right. So there's that aspect of it. Whatever your client asks, you make a reel about it. And even if, only a few people view it, more people are going to view it later on because it's going to live forever. All right. Okay. So the next way you're going to do it is you're going to go into Facebook groups, or you're going to go into your Instagram stories, or you're going to, send out a mass email, text message, something to people that are your ideal client. And basically you're going to say something like this. If you're in we're going to assume you're in a Facebook group, like women's Facebook group. Like, hey ladies, I'm an esthetician in this area and I am having writer's block. Please help me by throwing all your skincare issues at me, your waxing issues, your concerns at me. What are you struggling with? Please let me know and I will comment and I'll respond back to all of them. Please don't hold back. Something like that. Then you're going to be blown up by comments. Blown up. Okay. And then in those comments, here's the trick. You're going to use those ideas that people tell you. So I was blown up one time. I did it a few times. And somebody commented and said, I struggle with dry skin in the winter. Dry skin. So I made a whole blog, a whole Instagram thing on dry skin. And it was so because that girl reached out to me, or I reached out to her actually. I said, I'm going to DM you, this one in particular. And I reached out and I'm talking to her and I'm helping her with what I recommend for her skin, not necessarily giving her skincare products, but what I recommend, having a good, a good hydrating vitamin C, a hyaluronic acid, whatever it was for her skin. And we all knew it was probably her cleanser that was jacking her up. So, and then I one day was just recommended her. I'm like, hey, do you want to actually come in? I have an appointment available. And she booked. And then I did that with so many of the other people who commented. And that one client I think about is she was my client for the entirety of me having my spa open. She was the best client and I was obsessed with her. She referred everybody to me. It was amazing. But if I hadn't put myself out there, but that's a side note. So you do that and say you do that, you're going to be blown up. So say you do that quarterly or it's part of your strategy plan or your marketing strategy. You just talk to people, get them in your DMs. You have time. If you aren't fully booked, you have time to communicate with people. If you are fully booked, you might not have as much time and that's cool. That's awesome. I'm proud of you. But always keep it giving out value and helping people and just coming from a place of love and then talking to getting them booked. But that's a whole other side place. But I want you to create content around the issues your clients have. And you can ask that question hey, I'm having writer's block. Can you please share the issues that you guys have so I can create reels, TikToks, whatever you're trying to do. And then you're going to share the link with them as well once you figure it out. And this is going to be incredible because people are going to want to help you. They're going to want to support you. So even if they don't know you, people want to give their 2 cents. They want to say what's wrong with them. So just try it and then let me know. Okay. Next thing, number 4, I have actually do it. And I say actually do it with the sense of actually commit and make post. The more you post, the more you grow. There is no weird strategy. If you post on a Tuesday at 4 p.m. every Tuesday, you're going to grow by millions. It's not going to happen unless you go like randomly viral. You want to make sure that you are creating content a lot. And I'm going to tell you right now, and if you're on a podcast, you can't look me in the eyes. Just imagine I'm looking at you right now. You are going to suck really bad unless you naturally have like the way of creating content. Like you're going to suck. So I encourage you to suck a lot. And sounded terrible, to suck at this a lot and to really get in there and just post and post and post and post and post and post and don't stop posting. Okay. But be consistent with whatever you choose as your posting strategy. So for me, I was like, I'm going to post every single day for a year. And then I'm going to switch it up. So like I have a coach, an Instagram coach I follow, and I bought her course, and she always says, don't post on Fridays. They're super low engagement. I'm like, that's cool. And I'll probably start doing that and try that after May 31st. So for a year, I promised myself that I would post every single day. But prior to that, I was like posting 3 days a week, then 5 days a week. And then I went to 7 days a week. And sometimes I post multiple times a day. But the idea is the more you post, the more you grow. And Instagram is going to reward that consistency. Okay. And as the trick is, you're like, what about quality? Quantity over quality. I absolutely believe quantity over quality, but as you have to remember, as you post more, your quality is naturally going to get better. Your captions are going to get better. Your video editing is going to get better. Everything's going to get better, but stop making it so hard. Just post it. And so using things like B-rolls where you're just posting yourself doing your laundry or record yourself doing your laundry, there's nothing special about it, okay? Just create the video and put some words on it talking about what serums they should use this summer. Whatever it is, just make sure that you are creating and put it out there, because I'm telling you, the reason people don't know who you are is because they don't know who you are because you're not putting yourself out there. They don't know what they don't know. They don't know they should put sunscreen on daily. They don't know they should wear vitamin C serum because their esthetician that they haven't met yet, which is you, isn't sharing that information. They're not posting. So I need you to get out there and just post. And it's scary. I get it. But do it. Okay? Do it. All right. Number 5, I put do it a lot. And don't hate me, but do it a lot. Create a lot of content and get it out there. My only thing is I wouldn't go ahead and post 3 times in one day and then not do it for a week unless you're going to do that consistently. Just make sure that you are being consistent, okay? Trial reels have been really awesome because it's going to reach your non-followers. So you can put so much out there and it not bother or overpopulate anything because it's going out to your non-followers. It's not on your feed. So just put out everything. Put out it all, okay? And then if you're listening to this and you're like, I actually have a ton of content, I want you to go back to your best content, the ones that perform the best, okay? Ones that got thousands of reviews or hundreds of reviews, or not reviews, views, just views. Thousands of views and hundreds of views. I want you to go back and repost those in your trial reels, okay? Because those are going to push out to your non-followers. All right. And so the last one is I want you to engage with your community. And I say this is sometimes we forget that we have a community and we want people to comment or whatever, but are you doing things to get them to engage? Are you doing things like using something like mini chat or using, a call to action where it's like, instead of link in my bio, like, comment this, do this, or like in your stories, you're getting them to engage with you. Are they, laughing and you're responding? Like engage with your community and don't just engage with like emojis, like actually engage with them. Say something like something easily you could do is someone's like, this was so helpful. Comment and be like, what was the most helpful part? And then they're going to comment the most helpful part and then you're going to respond. So you just went from 1 comment to now like what, 5, right? I think 5 or 4, whatever. And so you're getting them to engage, to be part of it. And so when it comes down to your Instagram and growing on Instagram, it takes consistency, it takes quality, it takes consistency. It just takes figuring out who you're talking to, because when you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. And so I know that can be overwhelming and be a lot, but you just have to get out there and do it, because I'm telling you right now, if you look at my profile, I went from 0, guys. I started at 0. And in less than a year, I've grown significantly, okay? My goal for this year is hit 12,000 followers. I don't even know if you can even have that goal, but I'm going to do the work to get to that. And, some people might be like, that's like barely anything. But in retrospect, that is everything compared to where I was May 31st of last year. So I just encourage you to do that. But Anyways, that is the end of the podcast. I hope this is helpful. If you did find this helpful, please screenshot this podcast and share it on whatever platform you have, and then tag me in it. I am doing a giveaway for everybody who tags me and shares this, that you get a free coaching call. I'm going to do a drawing for one of you guys to do it. So just go ahead and do that for me. I would love you forever. I think it's my love language. It's one of the 5, I'm sure. Posting and sharing on Instagram. But you can find me at Estheticians in Business. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.